Because I was kind of hoping for a good series here, and I guess they always tell you to kind of stay with your first instincts. And along the years, I've liked the Bucks. I've rooted for them. I like what they represent. I've always denounced them when it comes time to being a championship viable team. And I've vacillated, not quite to that degree too much, but I did think they'd win last night without James Harden. Hey, come out. What in the world was that, Tiki? That was disgraceful.
It was embarrassing. And Chris Middleton didn't score a bucket until late in the second quarter.
Yep.
I mean, he got hot after that, but I mean, by then they were down by 20 minutes. Absolutely nothing, BT. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be on your side that this was going to be. I thought the Nets would win. Yeah, and I wanted to be on your side that it would be a tight game, that the Bucks would show some sort of adjustment and change the way that they played. Instead, they continually let Brook Lopez get stuck in the pick and roll. He drops back into the lane, and it's an easy shot for whoever it is, And at the end of the day, defensively, they had absolutely no answer. Forget for KD and for Joe Harris and Kyrie Irving, but Mike James, who was playing in France a couple of months ago, right? Yeah. Signed some 10-day contracts. He went bonkers on this Bucks team. So, I mean, maybe they change things and their fortunes shift a little bit once they get home. But God, BT, this feels like it's over. Feels like it's going to be a sweep. I mean, they led by 45 at some points. And as D-Cell said in our Slack chain last night, that's the kind of loss, even though it's like second game of the second round of the playoffs, to get you fired, man. Like, dude, what are you doing? Absolutely, what are you doing? It seemed like they had no clue at all. Yeah,
that's fine. I was going to say the same thing. It's the kind of loss. And, I think even if they improve and they win a game, but you'd have to think I don't know if you give them the benefit of the doubt at all right now. But
I can't.
I hear you. On some level, we just saw what happened with the Clippers, but the Mavericks have one outstanding player. That's it. And the Nets have, minimally two all-timers. They have three when Harden's right, and then the other guys know their roles and they film incredibly well. The shot selection last night. I mean, you could just take this piece by piece, a systematic takedown of how pathetic the Bucks were. Whether it was shot selection, which was abysmal, whether it was urgency, which was non-existent, whether it was defense, as you just alluded to, which was impossible to detect. A five-time All-Star, four-time All-NBA, and a back-to-back MVP. Looks like a CYO kid at the foul line. And, you said something, and you were kind of kidding, I think.
Yeah.
But it's time for some radical intervention here. Teague said the other day that maybe you just take a jump shot. Like, maybe you just go to – well, you're talking about Ben Simmons. But also with Giannis, I mean, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world to trigger something different. And I'm watching him last night. He's 2 for 10 so far in this series. He's 61%. On the playoffs. He's completely unreliable. He's missing front rim so often. And I'm watching him last night, and this is not necessarily the root of all their issues. I mean, Middleton's got to be better. Drew Holiday looked like he was completely indifferent. Took some bad shots last night. But Giannis, to me, if I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo, more specifically if I'm the Bucks, I intervene and I say, listen, get your shoulders square, get your feet set up to the stripe, get the ball from the ref, one dribble, spin it, and shoot.
Yeah, don't stop thinking.
Yes, to me, what it's beginning to represent, and I think we've all been there, is that mechanical aspect. If you've ever taken a golf lesson, right? Or even if you just kind of like watch YouTube and then try to apply it.
Yep.
Think about how impossible it is to strike a golf ball when you're actually
thinking about it.
Step by step on the backswing, think, no, you can't do that. You've just got to let it go.
Yeah.
And I think it's a similar concept. Just get to the free throw line, get the ball, bounce it once, and shoot. Just shoot.
Yeah, it's almost like a trust thing as more than anything. He doesn't trust what he's doing, so he's thinking about it. Now, we made fun of Charles Barkley for so many years, right? Because that's exactly what happened with Charles Barkley. Somebody told him, you got to slow down your backswing and, feel the club head at the top. And so he got stuck doing that, and he couldn't finish his swing. Giannis feels like he's doing the same thing, and he's unsure. Like when the ball leaves his hand, he's unsure. And here's the thing: even if you even if you're going to miss, you got to be sure about what you're doing. Otherwise, there's no chance you're going to have the right outcome. Now, you're talking about, the free throws, BT, but the other side of this is he's the defensive player of the year last year. And I know that offense is so different, especially with the Brooklyn Nets, because you get pulled off the paint, right? You're out there on the perimeter with Kevin Durant or whoever it is you're guarding, and you're long and lanky. I'm talking about if you're Giannis, you're long and lanky, so you got to be careful. But I mean, he's waxing poetic about Kevin Durant. You have some pride in the fact that you're the defensive player of the year and stop him in some capacity. Even if you got to foul him, right? Do something to get him off of his game, and Giannis doesn't, I don't know if he has that in him. You know what I mean? It's just not his personality to be doggish like that. He's a nice guy. You love him to death. And I'm sure if you're his teammate, you appreciate, that gentility about him. You know what I mean? But when it comes to winning, you got to have like a fire. And it seems like it's not there. Not just for him, but because he's the great player on that team, it trickle-down effect also gets lost. You're talking about Drew Holiday playing passively and Chris Middleton feeling desperate to make shots. I mean, he's just jacking up three-pointers from 28 feet, right? Well, with 18 seconds left on the shot clock. It made no sense. And so it's all the way around because Budenholzer's not controlling this. Giannis isn't stepping up to the task, and all the surrounding pieces, as we clearly have seen in game 1 and 2, are superiorly inferior to what the Brooklyn Nets have.
See, this is why when we talk about superstars, not stars, but superstars, it's got to be a tier
delineation. That's right.
There's got to be a delineation. There's got to be a tier within the superstar category because a true, undeniable superstar does not need another player to assert themselves to fill the void of what you lack personnel. No, you step on the court and it's over. Yeah. Like you look at the old images of Isaiah Thomas walking on the court with the bad boys, or obviously Bird and Magic and Jordan. And I mean, those guys, LeBron, even though LeBron's getting a little bit older, Kobe the Killer, even Allen Iverson. He didn't win the championship, but he got there, and the Lakers were just infinitely better. Even though they stole that first game, they lost in 5. He willed them to the NBA Finals, a place with some of their, Aaron McKee and Eric Snow and the Vanilla Gorilla, Matt Geiger. They had no business being anywhere near the finals, but he willed them there. And you just left wanting more from Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I know nobody else played well. Brook Lopez. If Brook Lopez didn't knock down a couple of threes in the first quarter, they would have been down by 50.
That's right.
Like Brook Lopez at least stuck a couple of threes, and he had a little putback. I could not believe, and this is the ultimate indictment on the head coach. Why even if they scrap off a win or scrape out a win, whatever, you get the sense that it's really time per change maybe in Milwaukee, because how do you walk on the court last night? One thing to lose, but to lose without resistance and to be embarrassed in the process for a team that's been knocking on the door for a while. Charles Barkley said it during halftime. He's like, great teams. Shaq said it. Great teams never have 2 bad games in a row in the playoffs here. Yeah. That's it. You just don't let it happen. Then the Bucks aren't a great team.
No, you're right. And the Nets won by 39. And their stars played 33 minutes at max. Kyrie played 33. KD played 32. And they still won by 39. It wasn't, you concede. I think you hit on something just a second there, BT, when you said you expect more from Giannis. I think why this, I don't know, not hurt, because I don't really care that much, but why it's disappointing is because it's a letdown. Right, there's just been so much building and hype for this Milwaukee Bucks team for months now. I mean, we talk about the last 2 years where they had the best record in the NBA in the Western Eastern Conference. They have Giannis, who's the MVP, and they falter in the postseason. But it's going to be different this year, right? It's going to change this year.
But to be fair, we didn't say that.
No. I'm saying that's the narrative around the Bucks. We didn't say that. We felt like, look, their regular season record is telling us something. Yes. Right? They're not just chilling, just to be in a different spot than they have been the last couple of years. They're not, taking their foot off the gas and they're going to press it. That's what a lot of people wanted to position this as. There's no pressure on them. But the reality is we're getting the same thing over and over and over again. And if what didn't work the first 2 times, why do you think it's going to work now? And so it's disappointing that we have this great player And I think you're right, BT. He's on a different tier of superstar. Like he's got to be a superstar because he's won 2 MVPs and Defensive Players of the Year, and he's unstoppable. And he's a superstar, but he's got to be on a different tier, BT, because there isn't an elevation factor there, and that's what's disappointing. Right, first show we ever did, right, BT? I watch sports mainly because I want to see greatness. I expect Giannis to be great. And he's just not in the postseason, and that's frustrating.
No, and listen, I've harped on this for a long time. Chris Middleton, just not the guy. He's not Robin. Now you could say, well, some nights it's Drew Holiday. That's fine. I like Drew Holiday quite a bit as a player, but Chris Middleton's not that guy. He's just not. He hasn't been that guy so far. What is he, almost 30 years of age? I mean, he's no longer ascending. He's a good player. He's a winning player. You can obviously do some damage with him, but when he's positioned as high up on the pecking order as he is with the Bucks, that's a team that's not championship ready. And I know it's not quite the same because they've done more for their star than Portland has done for Damian Lillard. But is it really that dissimilar?
No.
When you think about
it's the same.
Right? Think about what the Nets trot out there with two. I mean, Kevin Durant to me is already a top 15 player all time.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving's one of the best point guards of all time. Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, Nash MVPs. You want to throw, obviously, Magic Johnson, John Stein. He's on the list. Chris Paul, he's on the list. He's in the neighborhood. And then you throw in James Harden, who...
Yeah, you go get him for the hell of it.
Because
they don't need him, clearly.
I mean, so, and then you look, and I know Harden's not playing right now, but then you look at, even what the Lakers trotted out there last year with LeBron, the best of the game, and AD, one of the top, 5, 6, 7 best players of the game. You want to win a championship, you've got to do your superstar right. And this is not to absolve Giannis of any blame, because if you can't hit free throws, and you're not a reliable three-point shooter, and you're not stepping up and manning up to stop somebody and D it up and put that hardware on the table that you've won as DPOY multiple times, then maybe you're just not the player we thought. But he still deserves more because Middleton is not that player. And, they missed DiVincenzo. He wouldn't have mattered last night, I don't think. But this team looks like they're dead. And that's a reflection on two items, the coach and the superstar player.
Yeah, you're
right.
right.
I look to.
Exactly. And, we could kill the Bucks all day. But you also have to give credit to the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
Who, they're playing a different brand of basketball than we saw even in the regular season when they were winning despite injuries on their team. They're I couldn't believe how unselfish Kyrie Irving is. Sometimes he's not even gathering the ball before he's passing it off to someone else. You know what I mean? It's
like about the one in the corner too. That one really jumped out, right? The one in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like a touch pass. It touches him and it's out of his hands. And
how about Blake Griffin? Blake's got some springs back,
dude. He does. But isn't it easy when everybody is vacating the lane to try to cover the perimeter because you got Kyrie, you got Mike James who can shoot 3-pointers, you got Joe Harris in one corner, Kevin Durant at the other elbow. All of a sudden, Blake Griffin is sitting on Blake James. I'm thinking Miami. Blake Griffin's sitting in the post. There's nobody there.
Yep.
Of course he can dunk at that point. There's no resistance, and so it's actually perfectly set up for his resurgence you want to call because of how good this team is and really unselfish. BT. That's what I noticed the most. They share the ball willingly. They're getting to the best shot. It's not, I got to get mine. It's, we need to win a championship, and it's showing.
Yep. They're friends. They've got championship hardware already. They've got the big contracts. They're not really chasing anything that's proven evasive. You know what I mean? Like we've seen many examples over the course of the NBA, and I mentioned this the other day, whether it was Kevin Garnett and Stephon Marbury, or Jason Kidd and Jamal Mashburn and Jackson. Those are, sometimes when you're young and you're chasing clout and you're chasing status in the game and money and all the tangible things and the things that you can't quantify, that's where you kind of get in each other's way. But when the mantle is stuffed with trophies and the bank account is stuffed with money, and the only person that doesn't have that one trophy is the one who has been a galvanizer this year for them, and that's James Harden, who's seemingly, pliable, maybe more so than we thought, to fit the team concept because he wants to win.
Yeah.
It's the perfect environment. So when they're on, they are unstoppable. I don't care who they play. When they're on, they're just a gift to watch, and we'll see if the Bucks have any resistance back. But you're right. As much as the Bucks were awful, you got to give props because that was a show last night what the Nets did. Absolute show. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.